God says, "My child, stop everything and listen, for this is a moment of divine correction. This is a sacred intervention sent directly from my throne to reach you before your misunderstanding leads you further astray. You have been wrong. You have been very wrong. The path you walk, the beliefs you hold, the understanding you cling to, they are not aligned with my truth. The thoughts that have guided you, the ideas that have directed you, the convictions that have shaped your choices, they are built on shifting sand. I speak to you now not to condemn but to redirect. I come to you now not to shame but to illuminate. I reach for you now not to punish but to rescue. This message may disturb your comfort. This revelation may challenge your certainty. This truth may shake your foundation. But what I speak to you now comes from the deepest place of my love, for I cannot allow you to continue believing what is false, following what is misleading, and building your life on what cannot stand. Something dangerous is growing in your understanding. Something harmful is developing in your beliefs. Something destructive is taking root in your perspective. The falsehoods you have embraced, the misinterpretations you have accepted, the distortions you have welcomed, they are leading you down a path of confusion and spiritual blindness. You may not see it clearly yet, but heaven has witnessed it. My perfect sight has observed the direction of your thoughts. My complete wisdom has recognized the trajectory of your understanding. And now, before these misconceptions harden into unshakable conviction, I must speak truth to you. The beliefs that feel so right to you are actually wrong. The perspectives that seem so clear to you are actually clouded. The understandings that appear so solid to you are actually fragile. If you continue building your life on these misunderstandings, what you construct will not stand. If you keep making decisions based on these false beliefs, where you arrive will not be where I intended. If you persist in viewing life through these distorted lenses, what you see will not reflect reality. You have been chosen to receive this correction because your heart still seeks me. You have been selected for this realignment because your spirit still yearns for truth. You have been marked for this revelation because you are not yet beyond reach. You have misunderstood my ways. You have misinterpreted my word. You have misconstrued my heart toward you and others. The error is not small or insignificant. The misconception is not minor or trivial. The misunderstanding is fundamental and far-reaching. You have believed that my love is conditional, that my acceptance must be earned, that my favor must be achieved through perfect performance. You have convinced yourself that mistakes equal rejection, that weakness means abandonment, that failure results in condemnation. You have taught yourself that distance from me is the result of your insufficiency, your inadequacy, your inability to measure up. This is wrong. This is completely wrong. This is fundamentally wrong. You have viewed others through the lens of this same error. You have judged them by standards I never established. You have measured them by metrics I never created. You have separated people into categories of worthy and unworthy, deserving and undeserving, acceptable and unacceptable. This too is wrong. This too is completely wrong. This too is fundamentally wrong. I see your genuine desire to please me. I recognize your sincere effort to live rightly. I acknowledge your authentic attempts to understand my will. But good intentions built on wrong foundations still lead to harmful outcomes. Earnest efforts driven by false understanding still produce painful results. Authentic attempts guided by misconception still create distance rather than closeness. This error did not begin with you. This misunderstanding has been passed down through generations. This distortion has been taught by well-meaning but equally mistaken voices. You have heard it from teachers who themselves were taught wrongly. You have received it from leaders who themselves were led astray. You have absorbed it from a culture that itself has wandered far from truth. The origin of this deception stretches back to the garden, to the first lie ever told, that I am not good, that I withhold good, that I cannot be trusted completely. And now this ancient falsehood has worked its way into your understanding, coloring how you see me, yourself, and everyone around you. This is the nature of your error. This is the substance of your wrong belief. This is the core of what must now be corrected. But my child, do not let your heart be troubled by this revelation. Do not allow shame to overwhelm you upon hearing these words. Do not permit fear to flood your mind as you recognize this error. For I correct those I love deeply. I redirect those I cherish completely. I realign those I value beyond measure. My correction does not come to condemn you but to free you. My truth does not arrive to crush you but to lift you. My light does not shine to expose you but to guide you. You have lived beneath the weight of false understanding. You have carried the burden of mistaken beliefs. You have struggled under the load of distorted perspectives. I come now not to add to that weight but to remove it entirely. My correction is an act of love. My redirection is an expression of care. My realignment is a demonstration of commitment to you. When a father sees his child walking toward danger, he calls out a warning. When a mother notices her little one moving toward harm, she redirects their steps. When a shepherd observes a sheep straying from safety, he uses his staff to guide it back. So it is with me and you. I have watched you struggling beneath the weight of wrong understanding. I have seen you striving to meet standards I never set. I have observed you judging yourself by measures I never created. And now, because my love for you is perfect, I must speak truth that displaces falsehood. I must offer light that dispels darkness. I must provide clarity that removes confusion. This is not rejection but the deepest expression of acceptance. This is not abandonment but the strongest demonstration of presence. This is not punishment but the purest form of protection. Receive my correction as the embrace it truly is. Accept my redirection as the gift of love it represents. Welcome my realignment as the act of mercy it embodies. For those I do not love, would allow to continue in error. But for you, my precious child, I intervene. This is not the first misconception you have held about me. This is not the first misunderstanding you have embraced about my ways. This is not the first error that has shaped your spiritual journey. But this particular wrong belief is different. This specific misunderstanding is more damaging. This precise error is more costly to your soul. Past misconceptions may have slowed your growth. Previous misunderstandings may have limited your freedom. Former errors may have reduced your joy. But this wrong belief strikes at the very foundation of your relationship with me. This misunderstanding undermines the entire structure of your faith. This error poisons the root system of your spiritual life. If you continue in this wrong thinking, the distance between us will grow wider. If you persist in this false understanding, the walls around your heart will grow thicker. If you maintain this distorted perspective, the light within you will grow dimmer. You will find yourself exhausted from trying to earn what I have freely given. You will discover yourself isolated, believing you must measure up before drawing near. You will experience yourself diminished, constantly falling short of impossible standards. And not only will your relationship with me suffer, but your connections with others will fracture as well. You will judge them by the same false measures you use on yourself. You will withhold from them the very grace you deny yourself. You will create barriers between hearts that were designed to beat in harmony. The path of this error leads to spiritual isolation. The journey of this misunderstanding ends in emotional desolation. The destination of this wrong thinking is a life of perpetual striving with no arrival. This is why I must speak so directly now. This is why I must confront this falsehood so clearly. This is why I must address this error so completely. What is at stake is not merely correct doctrine but your very experience of my love. What hangs in the balance is not just proper theology but your entire relationship with me and others. What stands to be lost is not simply accurate understanding but the abundant life I died to give you. This is the time to examine what you believe about me. This is the moment to question what you have accepted as truth. This is the season to test what foundations you have built upon. My child, you must become vigilant about the voices you allow to shape your understanding. You must grow discerning about the teachings you permit to influence your perspective. You must develop awareness of the subtle lies that disguise themselves as spiritual wisdom. Not everything spoken in my name reflects my heart. Not all teaching delivered from pulpits carries my truth. Not every spiritual-sounding idea originates from my spirit. You have accepted words without testing them. You have embraced concepts without examining them. You have incorporated beliefs without questioning them. This passive consumption must end today. This unexamined acceptance must stop now. This pattern of absorbing rather than discerning must be broken. Begin to hold every teaching against the plumb line of my revealed nature. Start to measure every concept against the standard of my demonstrated love. Learn to evaluate every idea against the evidence of my consistent character. Ask yourself, does this belief draw me closer to God or push me further away? Question whether, does this understanding increase love or diminish it? Consider carefully, does this perspective bring freedom or create bondage? The enemy of your soul speaks partial truths with crucial distortions. The deceiver offers appealing ideas with hidden poisons. The father of lies presents reasonable concepts with devastating conclusions. You must train your spiritual senses to detect what is truly from me and what is counterfeit. You must develop your discernment to recognize my voice amidst the cacophony of others. You must sharpen your spiritual vision to distinguish between light and shadows that merely pose as light. Even as these false beliefs have taken root in your mind, I have been working to plant seeds of truth. Even as these misunderstandings have shaped your perspective, I have been orchestrating experiences to reveal reality. Even as these errors have influenced your choices, I have been arranging encounters to demonstrate my actual nature. You have not noticed all of these divine interventions. You have not recognized all of these heavenly corrections. You have not perceived all of these spiritual redirections. But I have been actively countering falsehood with truth in your life. When you experienced unexpected grace from others, that was me showing my true nature. When you felt accepted despite your failures, that was me revealing my actual heart. When you received love without earning it, that was me demonstrating my authentic character. I have been speaking through creation, through circumstances, through people, and through quiet moments when truth briefly broke through the barriers of misunderstanding. I have been whispering corrections through scripture passages that never quite fit your false framework. I have been sending messengers whose words created cognitive dissonance with your wrong beliefs. Nothing about my counterplan has been accidental. Nothing about my corrective strategy has been random. Nothing about my restorative approach has been unintentional. I have permitted you to experience the natural consequences of your wrong thinking, not to punish you but to create hunger for something better. I have allowed you to reach the logical conclusions of your false beliefs, not to hurt you but to show their bankruptcy. I have let you build on shifting sand, not to watch you fall but to motivate you to seek solid ground. And now I am providing you with clear understanding to replace confused thinking. I am offering you true perception to supplant distorted vision. I am giving you sound teaching to displace harmful doctrines. The truth that will set you free is both simpler and more profound than the complicated system of earning and achieving you have constructed. The reality that will liberate your spirit is both more straightforward and more revolutionary than the complex rubric of measuring and comparing you have created. The understanding that will transform your life is both more accessible and more powerful than the intricate matrix of striving and performing you have believed. You are not alone in your misunderstanding. You have never been the only one to believe wrongly. You have never been isolated in your misconception. Many before you have walked the same path of error. Countless others have embraced similar false beliefs. Multitudes throughout history have built upon these same shifting sands. Even my most devoted followers have at times misunderstood my nature. Even my most dedicated servants have occasionally misinterpreted my words. Even my most faithful friends have sometimes misconstrued my heart. My child, I have never abandoned you in your confusion. I have never rejected you for your misunderstanding. I have never withdrawn from you because of your wrong thinking. In the moments when you felt most distant from me because you believed you had failed too greatly, I was there. In the times when you pulled away from me because you felt too unworthy, I remained. In the seasons when you created space between us because you thought your performance was insufficient, I never moved. I have witnessed your sincere attempts to please me through performance. I have seen your earnest efforts to earn what I freely give. I have observed your genuine striving to deserve what only comes by grace. And through it all, my heart toward you has never changed. My love for you has never diminished. My commitment to you has never wavered. The distance you felt was created by perception, not reality. The separation you experienced was formed by misunderstanding, not my movement. The gulf you perceived was constructed by false belief, not my rejection. I have always been as close as your next breath. I have forever remained as near as your heartbeat. I have continuously dwelt as immediate as your very thought of me. And even in your error, I have been working. Even in your misunderstanding, I have been guiding. Even in your wrong belief, I have been drawing you toward truth. I will not allow false understanding to define you anymore. I will not permit misguided beliefs to direct you anymore. I will not accept distorted perspectives to shape you anymore. For I am the Lord, the God of truth, and I now place my shield of reality around your mind and heart. The deceptions that once influenced your thinking are losing power. The misunderstandings that once directed your choices are being exposed. The errors that once formed your self-perception are being corrected. From this day forward, you will recognize truth more clearly. From this moment on, you will discern reality more accurately. From this point ahead, you will perceive my nature more correctly. No weapon of deception formed against you will prosper. No strategy of confusion launched toward you will succeed. No campaign of falsehood directed at you will prevail. The spirit of error that has followed many believers is now being confronted. The legacy of misunderstanding that has plagued many faithful ones is now being challenged. The inheritance of false teaching that has burdened many sincere hearts is now being rejected. You are entering a new reality of spiritual clarity. You are stepping into a new understanding of divine truth. You are claiming a new heritage of sacred wisdom. My word will become a lamp that illuminates falsehood. My spirit will serve as a guide who exposes deception. My presence will function as a filter that separates truth from error. Your name has been removed from the book of confusion. Your identity has been written in the ledger of understanding. Your future has been secured in the vault of spiritual clarity. My child, this protection does not mean you will never again encounter falsehood. This shield does not guarantee you will never again face deception. This covering does not ensure you will never again meet confusion. But what it does promise is that you will no longer be defenseless. What it does guarantee is that you will no longer be easily misled. What it does ensure is that you will no longer build your life on shifting foundations. You have been chosen for this correction now because you stand at a critical threshold. You have been selected for this realignment today because you approach an important crossroads. You have been marked for this revelation in this moment because what comes next in your journey requires clear understanding. This divine intervention is not random timing. This spiritual correction is not arbitrary scheduling. This heavenly realignment is not coincidental chronology. I have waited for precisely this moment when your heart is ready to receive, when your mind is prepared to understand, when your spirit is positioned to respond. What I have called you to accomplish cannot be fulfilled while building on wrong beliefs. What I have designed you to become cannot be realized while operating from false understanding. What I have planned for you to experience cannot be entered while guided by distorted perspectives. The error you have embraced has served as a ceiling limiting how high you can rise. The misunderstanding you have accepted has functioned as a wall restricting how far you can go. The falsehood you have believed has acted as a chain determining how free you can become. But now I am removing these limitations. Now I am dismantling these barriers. Now I am breaking these restraints. Truth is not merely about being right, it is about being free. Understanding is not simply about correct thinking, it is about aligned living. Clarity is not just about accurate perception, it is about authentic relationship. The purpose of this correction reaching you now is not merely intellectual adjustment but spiritual liberation. The reason for this realignment finding you today is not simply conceptual fine-tuning but transformational breakthrough. The timing of this revelation arriving in this moment is not just informational update but fundamental empowerment. The confusion that has clouded your spiritual vision will begin to clear away. The questions that have troubled your understanding will start to find answers. The doubts that have unsettled your faith will gradually be resolved. Divine wisdom is now illuminating what was once dark. Heavenly understanding is now revealing what was once hidden. Supernatural insight is now clarifying what was once obscured. You will begin to recognize my voice more distinctly from all others. You will start to discern my leading more clearly amidst the noise. You will learn to identify my truth more accurately despite counterfeits. Where complexity once reigned, simplicity will emerge. Where contradiction once troubled, harmony will appear. Where confusion once dominated, clarity will prevail. My words will suddenly make new sense to you. My actions will suddenly show new patterns to you. My ways will suddenly reveal new consistency to you. You will find yourself saying, "How did I not see this before?" You will discover yourself thinking, "This has been here all along." You will catch yourself realizing, "The answer was always this simple." And the voices that once led you astray will become recognizable for what they are. The teachings that once misguided you will become identifiable for what they contain. The ideas that once confused you will become discernible for what they represent. True and false will no longer blend together in your perception. Light and darkness will no longer appear similar in your vision. Freedom and bondage will no longer feel alike in your experience. Where you once walked in the fog of misunderstanding, you will now travel in the clear light of truth. Where you once stumbled in the darkness of error, you will now move forward in the brightness of understanding. My child, embrace the truth that is now revealed to you. Receive the understanding that is now offered to you. Accept the clarity that is now presented to you. Do not hesitate because what I show you differs from what you've always believed. Do not falter because what I reveal challenges what you've always known. Do not withdraw because what I uncover conflicts with what you've always trusted. Stand firm in this new revelation. Walk boldly in this fresh understanding. Move confidently in this clear perception. Renounce the lies that have held you captive. Reject the falsehoods that have kept you bound. Release the misunderstandings that have limited you. This is your moment of decision. This is your point of transformation. This is your opportunity for realignment. Choose truth over familiarity. Select understanding over tradition. Opt for clarity over comfortable confusion. Be ruthlessly honest about what beliefs have actually produced in your life. Be courageously transparent about where your convictions have actually led you. Be unflinchingly clear about what your understanding has actually created in your relationships. The evidence of truth is always freedom. The proof of reality is always wholeness. The confirmation of correct understanding is always love. Measure everything by these outcomes. Test everything by these results. Evaluate everything by these fruits. My truth will never lead you into bondage. My reality will never drive you toward isolation. My understanding will never guide you into fear. Do not allow pride to reject this correction. Do not permit ego to dismiss this realignment. Do not let fear refuse this revelation. There will be a strong pull to return to familiar thinking. There will be a powerful urge to defend established beliefs. There will be a compelling tendency to justify long-held perspectives. Recognize these as resistance to your freedom. Identify these as opposition to your growth. See these as barriers to your transformation. Old patterns of thought will try to reassert themselves. Former ways of understanding will attempt to regain control. Previous frameworks of belief will seek to re-establish dominance. Some around you may not understand your change. Certain voices will try to pull you back to former misconceptions. Various influences will attempt to reinforce old errors. Not all resistance comes from external sources. Not every opposition arises from others' input. Not each barrier emerges from outside pressure. Your own mind may struggle against new understanding. Your own heart may fight against fresh revelation. Your own spirit may wrestle against clear truth. This resistance does not mean you are wrong in embracing correction. This opposition does not indicate you are mistaken in accepting realignment. This struggle does not suggest you are erring in receiving revelation. It simply confirms how deeply rooted the former misunderstandings were. It merely reveals how thoroughly established the previous errors had become. It only demonstrates how completely integrated the old falsehoods had grown. Stand firm against both internal and external resistance to truth. No matter how long you have believed wrongly, my love for you remains unchanged. No matter how deeply you have embraced error, my acceptance of you stands unshaken. No matter how completely you have integrated falsehood, my commitment to you continues unbroken. Take these words into your heart. Plant this understanding in your mind. Allow this truth to transform your spirit. This correction is not the end but a beginning. This realignment is not a conclusion but an introduction. This revelation is not a destination but a doorway. You are not expected to grasp everything perfectly at once. You are not required to transform every thought immediately. You are not demanded to correct every belief instantly. I am patient with your learning. I am gentle with your growth. I am kind with your development. From this moment forward, you walk in increasing light. From this day onward, you move in expanding understanding. From this revelation, you journey in growing clarity. This is your new reality. This is your true foundation. This is your actual path forward. And I will be with you every step of the way, guiding, correcting, affirming, and loving you completely, not because you get everything right, but because you are mine.